Blue and red lights painted my living room like a discount rave, and I'm telling you, that wasn't exactly how I picture my Saturday morning going. You ever see someone so full of themselves they can't imagine consequences? That was Denise, crawl pearls tied around her neck, HOA visor on, clipboard clutched in both hands as two cops, real slow and polite, walked her down my front steps with her wrist cuffed behind her back. She was still hollering, shrill enough to startle the birds. "This is a private compliance visit. I have authority here." The neighbor across the street was filming on her phone, eyes big as saucers. Her husband leaned in and whispered, "Did the HOA president just get perp walked?" Yeah, that happened. The whole street felt like the audience at a live taping, disbelief, then a sort of guilty satisfaction blooming behind closed curtains. Denise, queen of the neighborhood, brought down by her own hand. Let me back up a sec. My name's Victor Hale. I keep my lawn mowed, my grill seasoned, and my conversations quick. I'm not the guy who gabs on about weather or whose kid made the honor roll. I just wave, say morning, and mind my business. I bought this quiet ranch-style place on the edge of Mapler Crest for peace. I figured if I joined the HOA board, I'd avoid drama, get ahead of the mess. You know? Rookie mistake. I didn't know about Denise yet. She ran the board with a grip like a vice, measured grass with a ruler, sent emails like legal summons, and acted like she'd been knighted in the art of compliance. It was her show, and the rest of us? Just extras on her stage. It all started with a cedar bench. Just a plain bench, nothing fancy, right on my front porch, a little spot to sit with coffee and watch the sun come up. Denise noticed it on day one. She called it, get this, an unapproved exterior seating apparatus. Said it violated the aesthetic standard like I'd planted a billboard for circus tickets. That bench became her white whale. She started slipping warnings on my doorknob first. Height variance notice. My bench was 3/4 of an inch too tall by subsection 12.4, some bylaw nobody's ever read. Then she flagged my mailbox for being the wrong shade of black. Apparently it had to be charcoal, not midnight. And who the hell knows the difference? And my personal favorite, a noise complaint against a robin that made a nest in my oak. "I swear," she wrote, "this bird is a persistent disturbance." Said I was responsible for the noise because the tree was mine. You know what I mean? Some people are born to push paper, others weaponize it. Every night around 6:30, there she'd be, pacing the sidewalk, snapping photos through my hedges, crouching with her phone like budget paparazzi, documenting every infraction. My welcome mat. The way my garden hose curled, nothing escaped her eagle eye. It became a game, almost. Then came the letter that took things from annoying to surreal. I found it under my door, bold type. "You have 2 hours to vacate. Immediate eviction for willful noncompliance with HOA standards." She wanted me out of my own house, over a bench. I laughed, left the note on the counter, put the kettle on. I wanted to see how far she'd push this fantasy. 10 minutes, not even the full 2 hours later, I watched her wave some random guy into my driveway. He had a reflective vest that looked homemade, carried a pry bar and a lockbox, and had "not official" written all over him. Denise announced loud enough for the neighbors to hear, as acting compliance officer, "I am entering this property to inventory violations and secure the premises." She really meant breaking and entering. Lucky for me, I'd set up 3 cameras outside since her crusade started. I'd already called the Pine Brook police to let them know someone was trying to break into my home. The officer showed up fast. Denise launched into a speech about her summary authority as president. She flashed a badge that said Community Security Liaison with a cartoon eagle like she'd printed it off clip art. The cop stared at it, totally deadpan, like he was being handed Monopoly money at a real bank. I handed over my deed, the HOA bylaws, highlighted, and her eviction letter. The cop started flipping through, his eyebrows climbing, while the contractor with the vest tried to melt into my azaleas. Then Denise said the bench was harboring vagrants. She pointed at my garden gnomes and claimed they were unapproved loiterers. The officer, you could hear the patience bleeding out of his voice, asked, "Ma'am, do you have written consent from the homeowner or a court order?" Denise whipped out a laminated flowchart explaining her emergency powers, but of course she had nothing legal. The contractor finally cracked, voice shaky, and confessed Denise paid him $200 cash from an HOA petty fund. He thought he was installing smart locks for security. He realized he'd been roped into an illegal break-in. The cop radioed for backup, looked at Denise, and read her Miranda rights. Denise shrieked, "I have supreme authority in this neighborhood." All the while, the cul-de-sac was gathering outside, drawn by the sirens and the drama. People who'd put up with Denise for years stood on their lawns, arms crossed, watching the clipboard queen get let out in cuffs. As she passed, her precious clipboard tumbled from the hood of the cruiser, papers blowing everywhere, violation photos, mostly in my porch from 100 unflattering angles, close-ups of my mailbox, and some blurry shots of her own shoes. The crowd made that collective gasp you only hear when something wild happens at a wedding reception. That night, we had an emergency HOA board meeting. Everyone jammed into the clubhouse, the cappuccino machine wheezing like a dying dragon. This is where the real fireworks started. Harold, the nervous treasurer, finally spoke up. Turns out there was a compliance operations line in the budget for almost 10 grand. Denise's private war chest. She'd been using it for midnight raids, buying bulk no loitering signs, and apparently hiring fake contractors to do her dirty work. I queued up the security footage on the clubhouse projector. Denise directing the contractor, threatening my property, throwing around fake authority. It was all there. The room sucked in air, then exploded in shouts. Neighbors poured out stories, late-night letters, threats for mismatched flower pots, even fines for the wrong shade of mulch. And that's when the twist hit. Turns out Harold had been signing off on these compliance expenses because Denise threatened to audit his taxes and spread rumors if he didn't comply. The treasurer, meek, glasses fogged up, broke down and admitted he'd wanted to come clean for months. Suddenly, the anger in the room shifted. People started checking their own violation notices, connecting dots. Denise's reign of terror had been built on a mix of fear, fake authority, and pure pettiness. The board voted, right there, to remove Denise from all positions, ban her from serving again for 7 years, and start the process to recover the money she'd spent. The police charged her with attempted unlawful entry, impersonating a security officer, and misusing HOA funds. The judge gave her a year of probation, restitution for every penny, and this is poetic justice, 200 hours of community service, picking up trash along the very jogging trail she tried to keep exclusive. When the board president announced it at the next meeting, Denise, sitting in the back row, went purple. She screamed, "You'll regret this. Property values will tank without me," as the rest of us sipped our coffee, not saying a word. So that's how the most powerful person in our neighborhood got taken down by a cedar bench, some gnomes, and a community finally fed up with the nonsense. Now, folks walk their dogs past my porch and nod, sometimes with a little smile like they know something nobody else does. The new board's talking about rewriting the rules, making the HOA less about control and more about actually helping people out. But, you can still feel at the tension, the possibility for another Denise waiting in the wings. Maybe next time, we'll see the warning signs sooner. Or maybe the whole concept of HOA power is just a disaster waiting to repeat. What do you think? Did Denise deserve her fall? Or do we all play a part in letting things go this far? Drop your thoughts below, right, wrong, or somewhere in the messy middle. Smash the like if you've ever tangled with a neighborhood tyrant. And tell me, what would you have done if Denise came for your bench?